veterinarian for this CVE, that is Continuous Veterinary Education Initiative, the e-learning platform for field veterinarian, Alembic initiative. Now I will invite Mr. P. Karunanidhi sir. He is Senior Vice President, Alembic Pharmaceutical Limited, who is the motivational force behind us to conduct our CV programs and other colleges webinar. I will invite Mr. P. Karunanidhi sir to introduce our today's eminent speaker. Over to Karunanidhi sir.
Thank you, Dr. Santosh. Today's speaker, Dr. N.B. Sridhar, is an MUSc PhD academically, and is a distinguished academician and also excellent researcher and eminent extension worker for last 3 decades. He did his graduation in the year of 1990 in Dharwad and post-graduation in the year of 1993 in IVRI PhD and PhD in 2004 from Bangalore. In 1992, started his career as a veterinary officer in Department of Animal Husbandry, Karnataka, as a veterinary officer, and in 2005 joined as an assistant professor in Karnataka Veterinary and Animal Fishery Science University, and in 2012 promoted as an associate professor. At present, he is a professor and head for the Department of Veterinary Pharmacology and Toxicology, Veterinary College, Shimoga. His academic contributions are many, and few I would like to mention it. He served as a major advisor for 26 MUSc students, 6 PhD students, and he is a member of advisory committee for more than 66 students, including MUSc, MSc, PhD, offered by various courses, UG and PG student. He is a principal investigator of 8 extramural projects and co-principal investigator of 8 extramural projects. Fellowship held, Academy of Science for Animal Welfare. So Dr. N.B. Sridhar is author for so many academic books. He has written many books in Kannada as well as in English. He has written 4 Kannada books for the benefit of farmers. The knowledge has to be shared in different languages. So Kannada is Dr. N.B. Sridhar's mother tongue. So he has written 4 books in Kannada and published more than 75 articles in journals and presented more than 125 papers in different conferences and symposia. Acted as a member of several committees in college and university level. So today's topic is, Dr. Sridhar's favorite subject, mycotoxicosis in large animals. He has been awarded and recognized by many institutes. He is a recipient of US gold medal for highest CGPA in PhD while he was studying his PhD by Bangalore campus. Best Veterinarian Award from Karnataka Veterinary Association. Best Kannada Agriculture Book Award from University of Agriculture Science, GKDK, Bangalore, for the book Janvarugalannu Vishapada. I hope I read it rightly, it's a Kannada name. Best Kannada Scientific Book Award by Karnataka Science and Technology, KSTA, Government of Karnataka, for another book published by Sapna Bookstore, Bangalore. Awarded with 8 university medals for the extramural funds operated by Principal Investigator. Got Best Paper Presentation Award from Indian Society of Veterinary Pharmacology and Toxicology, India. And Best Poster Presentation Award from Society of Toxicology in India. So we have such an eminent, prolific writer and reader among us to share his knowledge in handling this important issue in the large animal. Thank you very much. Over to Dr. N.B. Sridhar.
Thank you very much, sir, for the introduction. Especially thank you very much for the Alembic Pharmaceutical is Limited, because I am associated with many of the events, especially the socio-economic reforms and the other events of the especially the cattle is concerned. And yes, one of the important topic is given to me by them to deliver to the audience, of the August audience. And thank you very much for Dr. Shinde and Dr. yourself also, sir, for introducing me. And today I am going to talk about an update on the bovine mycotoxicosis. The purpose of selecting this particular topic is the bovine mycotoxicosis is an important and also one of the economically important disease, but very well neglected by the scientists and also the field veterinarians in either diagnosis and also for the treatment of this particular disorder in field conditions. See, incidences are very many, lot of incidences are there, but the veterinarians and the scientists are unable to recognize these things because most of the time the clinical signs overlap with the some other diseases. So that's why I am studying this, particularly the bovine mycotoxicosis, since last 20 years, and we have done a tremendous research, especially in these aspects. Of course, more than 10 PhD students have worked, and also 5 or 6 MUSC students, and we have found almost all the toxicities in Karnataka states, especially the feed and fodder mycotoxicosis in case of Karnataka state is concerned. So this is especially coming to the very basic definition of the mycotoxins is concerned. Everybody knows that these are the secondary metabolites secreted from the pathogenic fungi. So these are especially the feed and fodder is particularly it is infected by different toxicogenic fungi, and they will accumulate the secondary metabolites. They are called as the mycotoxins, and they are very light molecular weight but causing lot of economic disorders. So the most common mycotoxins are produced by different genera, so they are very common, like the Aspergillus, then the Penicillium, then Fusarium, Alternaria, then Claviceps, of course the Fusarium, then Pithomyces, then Staphylobothris, Rhizopus, Rhizoctonia, Acremonium, and many more. And many of the non-pathogenic fungi are also affecting these, particularly the fodder, but they are less recognized, and we are only concerned about the pathogenic fungi, pathogenic to the particularly the crop, and later which secrete the secondary metabolites and cause a lot of the disorders in case of the cattle. So I am not going to detail about the regular toxicosis is concerned, whereas certain updates what we have done in the case of our research program, I am going to deliver such thing. So the toxicogenic fungi, especially they are going to secrete the mycotoxins, and these are the secondary metabolites of the toxicogenic fungi, and they affect the animal feed and food ingredients. So these cause diverse biological adverse effects when consumed in sufficient quantities or else small quantities over the prolonged period. So many of these genera like Aspergillus and other things, they are the ubiquitous in nature, and they contain the toxic material, and both they are going to cause the toxicity in case of animals and also in case of the human beings. And whenever there is a optimum temperature and moisture and aeration is there, these fungi are going to develop on the especially the fodder which is consumed by the ruminants. It is said that ruminants are less susceptible to the effects of mycotoxins when compared to the monogastric animals, but as we have observed several episodes of the toxicities, and they are also equally susceptible, but we are giving lot of importance to the poultry mycotoxicosis is concerned. Hence, when compared to the poultry mycotoxicosis, these incidences may be less, or they are many times they are not noticed at all, because and another constraint in the cattle mycotoxicosis is the identification of the particularly the fungi. Especially the scientists who are dealing with the animal mycotoxicosis, they are able to identify the fungi which are causing some of the dermatitis or sometimes the other systemic infections. But once they are not experts, in case of they may not be experts to identify the fungi which is growing on a fodder or a particularly the stale sorghum fodder, or maybe the especially becoming toxic. So whereas the agriculture scientists who are there in the agriculture universities, especially the plant pathology department, do have a mycology department. They are worried about the plants, fungi which are causing the economic loss during its growth or during the maturity. Once it is yielded the fruit, etc., suppose it's a ragi or wheat or whatever it may be, they are going to throw it out. The farmers are going to throw it out in the rain, and it get affected with the fungi and it secretes the poison. Hence, this is a very tricky situation where the animal mycologists cannot identify, or they are not worried about the fodder induced mycotoxicosis or the fungi, whereas the plant pathologists, they will not worry about the fungus which are infecting after harvesting. I think the veterinarians might have understood why this mycotoxicosis in large animal is a neglected field. So the aflatoxicosis, it has caused in 1960 the Turkey X disease. Of course, this is a very young branch in 1960s only. After 50 years has just over, and more than 1 million turkeys died in England during the 1960s, and later lot of developments happened. So coming to the most studied mycotoxins are the aflatoxins, maybe starting from B1, B2, G1, G2, then M1 and M2, because recently the milk contamination by the aflatoxins has attracted the attention of the world. Now many are worried about the aflatoxins which are secreted in the milk. So other than this one, many other mycotoxins are also there, like the acrotoxin A, which is also what you call as abbreviated as OTA, then fuminosin B1, zearalenol, then vomitoxin, which is also called as deoxynivalenol, then diacetoxy scripinolol or DAS, then nivalenol, then apicidine, trichothiazine, H222, and many more mycotoxins are also there in the field conditions are concerned. But these mycotoxins which are causing varieties of the toxicities, maybe in case of the horse or sometimes maybe in case of birds, are very well recognized, whereas in case of the cattle, lot of research is yet to be done, because many times the symptoms overlap, and sometimes it is what you call as the complicated with the secondary bacterial infections, and sometimes rarely secondary viral infections. So the main fungi and mycotoxins found in the animal foodstuffs are like this, especially the fungi starting from Aspergillus, which secrete the mycotoxins, and the foodstuffs are the corn, because most of the time the maize and other materials are the ingredients of the cattle feed. And apart from this one, Aspergillus, Penicillium, Fusarium, and the Alternaria, which secretes the tranexamic acid, and the Aspergillus and Penicillium, they are also going to secrete the aflatoxins, zearalenols, so many times. And many times we have attributed that the repeat breeding problem is also associated with the mycotoxicol, that is the zearalenol. So apart from this one, Fusarium is there, then the claviceps, of course it is going to cause the tail necrosis in case of the cattle, and Aspergillus, then varieties of the species are going to cause secrete the acrotoxins and T2 toxins, etc. So lot of these references are there which cause the contamination in the animal food, but the thing is the toxicity aspect we need to concentrate much more in the future. So here you can see that the toxic effects of most important mycotoxins in the cattle are first of all the aflatoxin. Of course, the aflatoxin starting from aflatoxin B1 to M1, they affect the immunological functions and rumen metabolism, and many research papers you can see in the right side, which decreases the feeding efficiency in case of dairy cattle and reduces the milk yield, of course in case of cotton. So usually the about 10% of milk will be reduced, which is a great economic loss, but many times it goes unnoticed. And also it causes the damage to the liver, and apart from this one, many other mycotoxins like the acrotoxins cause kidney problems, and many times we have seen that there is a bilateral damage of the kidney due to the acrotoxins, and the fuminosins cause the reproductive problems, then the zearalenone cause the infertility. Many times the prolonged estrus syndrome, especially in case of the cattle, we had attributed it to the mycotoxicosis caused by the paddy straw. So hence whenever we have withdrawn the feed and supplemented the especially the mineral mixtures, etc., the fertility rate had been increased. And the zearalenone also causes the reduce in milk yield because it is very similar to that of the estrogen. And deoxynivalenol causes hyperestrogenism, then they negatively affect the function of the immunological system. Many times the cattle succumb to the reduced immunological system, and repeatedly mastitis is attacking. And many times we have seen that the cattle are having the projectile vomition, or what you can call as the regurgitation of the food ingested. So that's also attributed to the mycotoxins. And the T2 toxin causes acute hemorrhagic enteritis. So usually the ragi straw is infected with varieties of the Penicillium and other species, then the T2 toxin is secreted, and which causes the acute hemorrhagic enteritis. And usually most of the mycotoxins which are listed here cause the reduce in feed intake, and because of this thing the reduce in the body weight, and ultimately which lead to reduce in the fertility rate and of course the milk yield. But many times this goes unnoticed, and we are going to treat the animal with so many other disorders. Hence and here these are all the reported things, and let us not go into the deep, especially in sutras, and I will tell something about the things we have observed in Karnataka state. There may be in other states of the country like the West Bengal and Madhya Pradesh and Uttaranchal. We have seen that several reports are there about the mycotoxicosis caused by the feed and the fodder. And there was a drought in the year 2003. Then especially in the northern part of the Karnataka, usually the rainfall is less. But at the same time, suddenly there was a rainfall. The farmers has storage the feed and dried the sorghum fodder to prevent the ears to their cattle and the buffaloes. This is a very common practice. They are going to hump it and deep, especially and there was a very peculiar outbreak was there on that particular year in the 2003. The buffaloes and cattle ingesting such stale sorghum fodder showed the clinical signs of the paraplegia. There is a hind limb paraplegia. They were unable to get up. Then especially the healthy bullocks, externally they are healthy, but there was a central nervous system problem, neurological disorder. They were having the salivation, staggering gait, and particularly the gated dyspnea was also present. Hence the cattle were affected with the characteristic mycotoxicosis, and some animals were showing the projectile vomition, and there was a dyspnea. And whenever the fluid was administered, they used to succumb to death also in the northern part of the Karnataka. So similar cases were reported in the ingestion of fungal infected groundnut hay in the varieties at the same time, because the raining was there in Karnataka state at that time, inadvertent raining, in the non-seasonal raining during the harvesting season. So it was a burning problem of the Haveri, Dharwad, Bellary, Raichur and other areas of the North Karnataka, and we went for the investigation, and we have seen that most of the animals were fed with the stale sorghum fodder. So the clinical signs were also observed in the buffaloes. Then also the most of the cattle which are, you can see here, Uttara Karnataka area, starting from the Haveri, then the Dharwad, maybe then Bidar, Kalaburgi, everywhere the disease was seen. And whenever we have examined the straws, they were all infected with the fungus, and the fungus affected sorghum powder was also fed to almost all the cattle, and usually we will never see that the Downer's cow syndrome in the local cattle, that's the Hallikar cattle or Amrit Mahal cattle or any other local cattle. They will never succumb to, many times they will never succumb to the Downer's cow syndrome. And most of the animals what we have observed in this area, they were having the Downer's cow syndrome. They were unable to lift their tail, especially whenever there is a pinprick cessation was there. Hence, we suspected that it is a mycotoxicosis, and yes, especially we sent the samples to the Department of Plant Pathology or Mycology, US University of Agriculture Sciences, Bengaluru, and one Dr. Chandrasekhar was there. He was a scientist, and I am very much thankful for him for the preliminary identification of this particular fungi. And later we got the identification confirmed by the Agarkar Research Institute Pune, then MTCC Chandigarh. And so these were all the fungi which are identified by him: Rhizoctonia leguminicola, then Macrophomia fasciolana, then Aspergillus niger, and Penicillium species. So there was a combined toxicity of the mycotoxins secreted by all such type of the multiple mycotoxicosis. So the signs observed in these particular animals, they were unable to get up, and there was a what you call as the Downer's cow syndrome, and many of them were having the creepers, and there was a hypersalivation, there was hind limb paraplegia, then dyspnea, then vomiting. Of course, I should not use the term vomiting, but there was a projectile, what you call as the emission of the rumen contents, and there was hind limb edema, especially some of the buffaloes, they have got the hind limb edema, and we could see that they were unable to get up, and the milk yield was drastically, it was reduced. And there was so many of the buffaloes, even though they are very well fed and having very good body condition score also, they were unable to get up, and they developed the decubital ulcers, and they were all fed with the stale sorghum fodder. Of course, the bullocks were also affected, because the bullocks are main important or the important plowing animals there, and could have the lot of economic value there. And the animals which were affected were, most of them were milking, or they were hard working animals which are used for the draught purpose. Then the clinical signs of this mycotoxicosis was a very common thing in most of the areas, maybe Kalburgi, Bidar, Dharwad, Kalburgi, and as I already explained, most of the cows were unable to get up. Then there was anorexia, there was hind limb paraplegia, then sometimes the projectile emission, drastic decrease in the milk yield was observed. So other signs of the observed in the affected animals were the diarrhea followed by the constipation, then frequent micturition or the urination, and the rectal temperature was normal. It was in the range of 101 degree Fahrenheit. And of course, the mucous membrane was also normal, and either there was anorexia or total feed reprisal were also seen. Then as we have isolated the different fungi, I will give a very brief introduction of this particularly the Macrophomia fasciolana. This is a fungal phytopathogen, infects about 500 plant species including the maize and the sorghum, etc. Then the tropical crop plants are seriously infected with this particular pathogen, and this produces a varieties of the mycotoxins or the phytotoxins. They can be called as the mycotoxins, namely the aspergillin, isoaspergillin, then omalactone, fasciolinic acid, and phenomenon, and fasciolin. So many mycotoxins are also the mycotoxins. So here among all these things, the fasciolinonin, a major phytotoxin, they are called as the, so initially they are identified this as the phytotoxin, but it was a mycotoxin. Then the fasciolin, this facilitates the infection by the human or the animal pathogen, Aspergillus fumigatus. So it is not normally not pathogenic to the human being or the animal, but the secondary metabolites produced by these particular fungi are highly pathogenic or toxic. So these reduce the immunity, especially, and independent of the animal toxicities are not yet conducted, and very less studies will get if you go for the review of literature. And Hamid et al. In 2019, they conducted some studies and observed that these are going to cause the toxicity in case of the cattle. And the another fungi what we have observed was the Aspergillus niger. It is a very common species. You know that this is a very common habitant of many of the food ingredients. So number of species are also closely attached, not only the Aspergillus, and it is so many species, more than 500 species are there, and these produce toxic malformin and oxalic acid are the two chemical products. So the another fungi is also called as the Rhizoctonia, Leguminicola, and depending upon the plant species which affects, it is going to cause the black patch disease in case of the plants, such type of the black patches. So this is formed during the wet, humid weather, and subclinically toxicity go unnoticed. Usually it causes a severe toxicity in case of the horses, that's called as the salivary syndrome. So same syndrome we have also observed in case of the cattle. So it survives 2 years on infected seeds and 10 months on the hay. So totally it will be secreting the mycotoxins during this entire period. Then the another fungi what we have observed on the fungal infected sorghum was the Rhizoctonia leguminicola, and cultured potato dextrose agar and produced different alkaloids like this. There's the swainsonin, then it's called as the disease leucoism, then sclerofermin, it causes the salivary syndrome in case of horses, and both of these are synthesized from the L-lysine. There is a very good article from the Banks et al. From the 1989 on the cat. So the characteristic feature of this sclerofermin, it's a potent muscarinic exocrine secretagogue. So there will not be any hemodynamic or neuromuscular changes are there. It has got very high affinity for the salivary gland. That's what this causes the salivary syndrome in case of horses, but not noticed in case of the cattle. So we have also seen certain salivary syndrome. I am going to show in the next slide as are concerned. So inactive form activated by light abundant in case of the field, and LD50 in the case of male broiler chicks, it is 81 milligram per kg, and the mortality in chicks it is reduced by atropine. Of course, it is treated by the atropine sulfate, a non-specific treatment for any muscarinic stimulation or the parasympathomimetic analog, this mimetics. So horses are very highly sensitive, but there are very less reports in case of the cattle. So these causes the profuse salivary syndrome. There is profuse discharge from the mouth and develops within hours after first consumption of the contaminated hay. What we have observed is after contamination hay is consumed for a minimum of 2 to 3 months, the clinical sign develops. There will be usually the tucked up abdomen is there, then mild diarrhea followed by the mild bloat and frequent urination in many of the cows infected. Almost all the cows are infected, including the local cattle, the Malnad Gidda, the buffaloes, almost all are affected. And sclerofermin is a mycotoxin caused by the Rhizoctonia species. The cattle, horses and sheep are affected. Of course, it is a parasympathomimetic in nature. Then the salivation. So a very little description is available. Salivation, lacrimation, urination, and all the non-specific clinical signs. So the sclerofermin toxicity, especially it is very well described in case of the horses and also in case of some pigs. So the clinical signs are the anorexia, dyspnea, bloat, etc., and drastic reduction in milk production. And it is not going to cause the death. Death is only caused due to the secondary type of the bacterial infections, maybe due to the deficiency of certain minerals and chronic recumbency, which causes the decubital ulcerations, etc. We have also observed such type of the salivary syndrome in case of the local Malnad Gidda. There is very slight salivation and there will be champing up of the teeth, grinding is also present in such cases. So there is the salivation, there is a mild salivation, the animal is going to consume the mud, etc. Very non-specific clinical signs are also observed. Sometimes the dyspnea is also observed, then projectile omission is also observed. We can see that the animal is having the involuntary chewing movement, and sometimes it is going to have a severe drooly salivation. Many times the owners have confused it with that of the rabies, then they have tied it away, and many of the times whenever they are stopped the feeding, the affected feed, then the animals have recovered. And some of the persons, especially the village conditions, they say that we have cured the rabies also. So one need to observe such clinical signs in field conditions. In the buffaloes also, it causes the Downer's buffalo syndrome maybe. So because the buffaloes are unable to get up after consuming such type of the feed or fodder for a minimum of 2 to 3 months. So the atrophy of the skeletal muscles, especially on the scapula, occurs. Then it makes the buffaloes to limp a lot, and sometimes the ruminitis is going to occur, and the animal goes lot of anorectic. Then the pathology, we have conducted the post-mortem of the many of such animals, and the death is usually rare, but it sometimes the animals becomes highly susceptible to the hemorrhagic septicemia and other disorders, especially the lung disorders. So the lungs will be enlarged, emphysematous, and submucosal glands of the trachea are very much enlarged. So the liver also, the centrilobular necrosis is seen. Then in case of kidney, a lot of congestions will be seen. So this was a problem that could not be attributed to a single fungus especially, or it's a complex feature of multiple fungi or cumulative mycotoxicosis, what we could diagnose, and it was an important disease of the north part of the Karnataka. And later we also started observing the other parts of the Karnataka state for the mycotoxicosis is concerned, and we could say some remedy. Of course, the mycotoxicosis is not having a specific antidotes or other thing, but the symptomatic treatment with the administrations of the fluid and potassium acetate, and sometimes the B complex vitamins, and sometimes if the toxin is already in the rumen, we can also advocate certain chelating agents. Then whenever the animal is having severe what you call as the clinical signs, we can administer atropine or propanthelin. Then this is just a symptomatic treatment, and potassium acetate in case of this Downer's curve at the rate of 25 milligram per kg as 10% solution or more than dilution, and 100 milligram per kg orally twice a day, we have seen a good recovery. Antihistamines could be of some importance, and sometimes as the stale sorghum fodder causes the ruminitis, one can also use the pantoprazole at the dose rate of 1 milligram per kg. But most effective method is replacement of the uninfected fodder. The green fodder, green grass replacement automatically makes the animal to cure out of this particular disease. Then the mycotoxicosis of the second instance is the mycotoxicosis of the fungal infected hay, especially groundnut hay. We have seen this case in case of the Tumkur area, which is southern part of the Karnataka. Means this particularly the mycotoxicosis is not restricted to the northern part of the Karnataka, the southern part of the Karnataka where the ragi straw or the groundnut hay is grown, and we have seen screened most of the this fungal infected material for the toxicity. So this is how the groundnut hay is stored in field conditions. Of course, you can see similar condition is also existing everywhere, and then see the varieties of the fungus. Whenever it is damp weather is there, we can see that varieties of this particularly the fungi are going to affect it. Okay. So I think in many parts of the India also the many veterinarians might have noticed such and what we have obtained from this particularly fungal infected groundnut hay, the following of course we could not identify it up to the species level, but we could identify the family Macrophomina, Fucina, then Cercospora, then Aspergillus and Rhizophus. All these were secreting different type of the this thing, particularly the different mycotoxicosis. The clinical signs observed here were the hemorrhages in the conjunctiva of the bullocks. We can see that the hemorrhages, it is causing the dehydration also, then which is also followed by the severe the hemorrhages in almost all part of the body, and many times the conjunctiva was so congested that we could see that it is due to the very high type of the toxicity, especially these endotoxins will cause such type of the severe congestion injected, and below the tongue also we could see that the hemorrhages, especially in the blood. The entire animal, the entire intestine was full of the blood, and we could see severe congestion, then petechial to extensive hemorrhages. So the blood was also oozing from of the rectum of these particular animals infected with that of the mycotoxicosis. So the hemorrhages in reticular mucosa of the buffalo was also seen because they were straining a lot, and the dead animals were. And another interesting finding was whenever there is a fly bite, etc., the bleeding should stop a minimum 2 to 3 minutes. But in this case, the bleeding could not be stopped even after 10 to 12 minutes, means the clotting time was increased a lot. Then we have cultured this particularly. The method, culturing method is initially we are going to inoculate them into the petri dishes, the potato dextrose agar broth, then mass cultured them, then we could identify this as the different fungus, like especially Rhizopus oryzae, etc. Then this is the microscopic appearance of the Fusarium sporotrichoides. Then later we did the LCMS and the MS analysis, and different mycotoxin standards were also used in this particularly to identify the type of the mycotoxins that are causing the disease. And later we also conducted the animal experiments, because the same type of the clinical signs which are exhibited by the adult cattle was also seen in case of the rats, because there was a bedwetting and there was a dysentery in all these animals. And later we could see in the cattle also we could see that some hemorrhages on the leg of these animals which was induced in case of the rats, means the mycotoxin was identified as the toxin which is going to inhibit the clotting procedure. Then of course this was treated with vitamin K and other things, then of course the animals could recover. The meadow grass is a local grass, especially in the Western Ghat area. Then the varieties of the fungus are also affecting it, because the wet area is very common in case of the Western Ghats. And an effort to induce the toxicity in laboratory animals like rats, rabbits and guinea pigs was also done, and it is also being done. Then the fungi infected from the groundnut hay were the Fusarium, then among the Fusarium only Epicidine and Buaricin were there, and these are the culprits and causative agents for the bleeding disorders, and the Rhizopus oryzae was containing the citrinine. And apart from this one, the buffalo calf infected with toxicity after consuming the meadow grass. Usually in such animals what happens is there is a posterior paraplegia, and the meadow grass will be usually fed to these buffaloes for prolonged period of the time, and they will have a very stiff gait, and ultimately even though the animals were treated for certain disorders, they are unable to get rid of. But as soon as the fodder is withdrawn and the animal is supplemented with the symptomatic treatment, maybe the muscle relaxants, then painkillers and supplementation with the good type of the fodder, the animal could be able to recover. You can see that the buffalo calf affected with toxicity after consuming the meadow grass was recovered after the administration of the potassium acetate and also the vitamin B complex, etc. So usually after such type of the animals will usually better respond to the potassium acetate. How to give this potassium acetate is it is 10 milligram per kg as 2.5 a minimum, or you can go for more dilution also. Then it need to be administered in dextrose, in normal saline. Very slow IV administration is very much required, because the potassium is cardiotoxic in nature, whereas you can see that most of the animals have recovered in this particular case is concerned. So that also one of the finding what we have done. And the next is the fungal infected paddy straw in Dakshin Kannada district, where in which they say paddy straw is a very common thing, even though it is infected with the fungi in several parts. the animals we usually exhibit the clinical signs of severe pain. The animal is to paddle its and kick its abdomen because of the severe pain which is present in the intestine, or it's also a colic. And we could see that the animals are unable to get up, and there is a tenesmus in these animals because there is a lot of pain in the intestine or the rectum or colon. Then they used to have this tenesmus, and initially some of the doctors, they were under the impression that this is due to the rabies, etc., because the tenesmus is a characteristic of the rabies. So such type of the very non-specific clinical signs are observed, and we later identified. And another very interesting case what we have seen during the disease investigation is very high incidence of the fracture in the bullocks of the Hubli area. So the Karnataka people can understand. There was a incidence of the fracture or outbreak of the fracture. It's not a proper terminology, but incidence of the fracture, especially the humerus bone, because the humerus bone is the weight bearing bone in case of the strong bullocks. In that area, the most of the animals were afraid of using the bullocks for plowing, because as soon as they start using the bullocks for plowing, they used to observe the fracture of the humerus in most of the very well built animals. And later it was a what you call as everybody started suspecting that it may be a ghost which is causing such type of the what you call as the disorders, the fractures. How come all the bullocks in the particular area can affect? So such was an incidence. Then later I went there and observed that most of the animals were affected with the fracture of the humerus, which is a hollow bone. Then we went and collected the humerus bone from the slaughterhouse, and you could see that it's a very clear cut oblique fracture, and the bone was having lot of porosity, and ultimately yes, we could conduct the histology of this particular bone also. It was very, very porous, and when we went to the field, we could observe that the fungal infected sorghum fodder, which because there was a slight raining, and in between this particularly the especially the fungal infected sorghum was there. Then we could see that such type of the stale sorghum fodder was fed to almost all the bullocks, particularly in that village. And later we could identify varieties of the fungus which are secreting the mycotoxins, and later advised the owners not to feed such thing, and the animals get recovered. And yes, the farmers were asking the question, sir, we are also feeding the same type of the fodder to the buffaloes. Nothing has happened to these buffaloes. The answer is very simple. They are not used for the plowing, and of course they may also have the fractures if the plowing or the cart pulling if they are used. Then we could see that lot of this cotton seed, this was there, and in between the sorghum fodder was grown, and whenever there is a rain has happened in this thing, and it has entered inside, and they have cut this, and the farmer was telling, yes, we have fed the bullocks with the fodder, this particular fodder only. Then another syndrome called as the kneeling syndrome, the same North Karnataka. It's a position which the weight rests on the knees especially, and this condition was observed in the animals of the Mudhol and Jamkhandi area of Karnataka state is concerned. It's a very peculiar disease of the buffaloes of North Karnataka. The animal could get with difficulty and used to stand on its knees with elevated hindquarters. So observed during the rainy and early winter season, only this season, and the dystrophy of the skeletal muscle was the characteristic clinical sign. And there was an abdominal type of the respiration which was noticed in almost all the animals, and the scapular spines were very, very prominent, and suprascapular muscles were they were atrophied, and there was a generalized weakness in the animal, especially in the anterior part. This was also suspected like this. So here you can see the buffaloes are kneeling here, especially they are unable to walk properly even though the owner forces the buffaloes. And so kneeling, I think you can see here very clearly the animals have got the kneeling syndrome, KNEELING syndrome, and most of the buffaloes in this particular village were kneeling like this, and they used to call this in local language Nama syndrome also. Of course it may not be a correct terminology, but this was the syndrome. And when we went and we see that the animals were totally reluctant, and you can see that the spines are very very prominent here, the muscle atrophy was seen here, and also the animal is unable to walk further. So after getting also, the animals could not walk properly. So that is the case of the particularly in this, and most of the animals, there was a characteristic dermatitis was also seen. Dermatological disorders in this area was seen, and once again this was proved to be a multiple mycotoxicosis case. Of course, we isolated different fungi from the sorghum fodder, and this is also the characteristic type of the what you call as this joint deformity in these particular areas. Only the buffaloes were affected, especially it's very interesting to see. Even though there are Hurlikar and the killer animals, none of the animals were affected, only buffaloes were affected. And yes, many such investigations we did, and tail and ear gangrene and these conditions will be commonly observed in the buffaloes, but also in case of bullocks and other cattle. So wherever there is a tail and ear gangrene, please suspect it for a mycotoxicosis, nothing else than that. So the tip of the tail and dries, and subsequently the gangrenous tail drops off, and this sometimes the animals concomitantly there will be drying up of the ear tips also. You can see that we have isolated the claviceps or poria were not there. There was no evidence that the ergotism etc. was not there, but this condition was not due to the ergotism. That's the thing, and this condition could be definitely attributed to an unknown mycotoxin. There was found in fungal infected fodder. I think many of you have heard about this Degnala disease, which was found in Haryana and the Punjab border. The Degnala, this similar disease was reported, and some informed that it is deficiency of the zinc and the sulfur, and someone they are isolated the mycotoxins from the fungal infected hay. So this is a similar type of the situation, and you can see that a specific band is formed. Later all the tails were fallen out, and also here you can see the ears are very very dry, and they are very rough. In case of the buffaloes only we could see such disorders. So the buffaloes which have consumed the stale paddy straw for a month or 3 months, we have seen such type of the drying of, and later the tips used to be this rooted out. And sometimes we have talked about varieties of the grasses. So now also the maize straw, if it is infected with the fungi, then definitely after consumption of such straws, it causes the clinical signs of lots of body condition. There is a severe ruminal atony, severe anorexia, recumbency, hyperapnea, abdominal type of the respiration, and another thing is the dry muzzle in most of the animal was observed in Kolar district, and there were hemorrhagic spots on the facial regions. So what is the fungus what we identified? Most of them were belonging to Fusarium species. One was Fusarium oxysporum, then Fusarium subglutinians and Aspergillus niger. That means once again it is a multi-mycotoxicosis disorder. The farmers has told, of course it is not so bad, but sometimes what happens is even though it looks to be good inside, when we cut upon this particular grass we can find it is having the fungal infections. So what we could observe, and some of our MUSC students, they also, Dr. Chandrasekhar, who is in Gadag now, and he had done a systematic research on this, particularly the animal toxicity studies and isolation and identification of the fungi was also done. Then yes, here you can see that the muzzle of this particular animal is very very dry, and there was crackling etc. in this particularly. Although almost all the animals you can see that the muzzles were very very dry. So these are all the very non-specific clinical signs we cannot attribute unless we go for a proper diagnostic techniques. So then we have examined almost all the animals, and the cracklings on the muzzle was a characteristic feature in these animals which have consumed the maize straw, which is infected with the different type of the fungi. And another visit I also done to the what you call as Sri Sri Ravi Shankar Ashram during the last year, and we could see that varieties of the dermatological disorders could be seen in the Gir animals. So ultimately it was found that the hair coat is very, very dry, and even though the animals are offered with the good concentrates, there was a tail necrosis, and here you can see different type of the necrotic patches are there. Many animals have lost the tail, etc., and later we could identify the Fusarium mycotoxins as cause of this particularly the disease. They have procured the fodder from or some of the devotees have donated the especially the fungal infected straws. So we can see the healthy animals are also suffering from different dermatological disorders, and later they were cured with the simple withdrawing up of the feed and administration of some sulfur, maybe sulfur or zinc ointment, and also external application of the zinc and sulfur in case of the neem oil. It simply cured the disease. So here also lot of animals, I think we have got thousands of such photos which are affected, and this is the crude protein, etc., where so here the necrotic rings were found in the tail of the buffaloes with the tail gangrene and treated with replacement of the fodder. So here also we can see that the buffaloes will suffer from different type of the mycotoxicosis, and later they were simple withdrawing up of the feed or the fodder made them to recover with simple administration of sulfur and zinc supplement. So see in also the lot of literature they say that such type of the disorders in according to our finding were also seen, and here you can see that especially in case of Gir animals this is a very common problem, and the tail there is a necrotic ring is formed and it is sloughs off, and majority of these are attributed to the stale sorghum fodder or the what you call as the maize, etc., and one need to be very, very careful and never neglect the cattle. That yes, whatever it may be, they can consume anything. That should not be the thing. And we can hear this that effects of the mycotoxins, causes of the ruminants, they are going to affect most of the organs, like they are going to decrease the feed intake. Then laminitis is also called as mastitis, they will get from decreased milk yield, and sometimes the abortions which are called due to the zerolenal. So varieties here, the varieties of the mycotoxins, their effect is already there in the literature, the carcinogenic effects, etc., especially in case of ruminants. So the symptoms are very, very what you call as negligible in nature, but they cause lot of the impairment of the rumen functions, and sometimes the ulcers, sometimes the diarrhea, etc. So the residue effect is also very much important to the milk industry is concerned. Karnataka Milk Federation or any other Amul, etc., they are very much worried about the residues which is also originated from the fodder source. So apart from this one, the trichothecins, they cause immune suppressions, then gastrointestinal developments, these effects, etc. And once again the neurotoxic effects. Many times these maize hulls, they have caused lot of CNS disorders, since of the tremerogens are the one of the important mycotoxins. So ergot alkaloids, they cause the reproductive disorders and also the decreased performance, decreased libido in some of the animals. So these are all the different signs and symptoms of the mycotoxicosis. Many times there is a combined effect, zearalenone, then ergot alkaloids, and also the aflatoxins. So coming to the conclusions, the mycotoxicosis is a common problem in livestock of Karnataka states and other states also. I could see that many of the scientists have reported the preliminary signs, but it is still lot of research is required, and many more diseases are suspected to be caused due to the mycotoxicosis, and buffalo are more susceptible to mycotoxicosis compared to cattle, especially in Karnataka state is concerned, because many of the diseases are seen in the buffaloes only. Maybe the other species are equally susceptible, but the many of the fungi and mycotoxins are yet to be identified, isolated and characterized. We are on this particular job since about 20 years we are there, and there is necessity to establish the toxicity in also the laboratory animals, because many times what happens, it goes unnoticed in the large animals, and necessary to find a suitable remedial measures. Of course, many of the mycotoxicosis is not having the very definite treatment, but the thing is symptomatic treatment is very much required. Simple withdrawing up of the fodder makes a great difference in this thing. So there is a necessity to diagnose the condition that this is due to the mycotoxicosis, and the fungal infected feed or fodder to be avoided for the cattle. And there is a requirement that how this fungal infected fodder or feed can be reused for the cattle, because many times the farmers do not have any alternative fodder in their area. So this causes lot of economical disturbance to the farmer. He cannot purchase the new fodder, and many times what we have suggested them to sprinkle the fungal infected fodder with the salt solution, 4% salt solution, dry it in the sunlight 1 or 2 or 3 days. Later, when they have fed it to the cattle, the toxic material is, especially the fungi, has they might have died, and it has reduced the incidence. So, to summarize once again, the mycotoxicosis is one of the neglected disease, especially in the large animals, especially the ruminants. Of course, we are given a lot of importance in case of the poultry, because a small 5% weight less, decreased weight also makes a lot of difference in the birds. Whereas in case of cattle, the farmer is also not so what you call as careful about feeding a very good quality hay to the animals. Maybe sometimes the grains he may feed good, but the hays or the straws many times they are going to neglect, and the veterinarians are requested to identify such disorders. And if you report, we can, if you send the simple straw also, we can get it identified and get isolated, cultured, and later we can see what are all the toxins which are secreted by these fungi, and we can attribute it to the mycotoxicosis and find a suitable remedy. And with this, I thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity for interacting with the veterinarians. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Indeed,
Yes.
we should say thank you from all the participants from the Alembic. Such a nice, informative, and practical presentation. Actually, this is an eye opener for all the participating veterinarian. I think once this webinar will be uploaded in YouTube, we will get lot of view. And it is very practical presentation, sir. So what we will do now, sir? I will request Dr. Naresh Kulkarni, who is a GPM of Alembic Pharmaceutical Limited, to take question answer session.
Yes, yes, yes,
Dr. Naresh
please.
Kulkarni.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Naresh. Shall I stop this slide sharing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. Yes, Naresh, please.
Yes. Yes, sir. I am sharing the questions
Okay.
from the field veterinarian.
Fine. Okay. Question answers, no? Okay. That's fine.
What are the different biochemical tests to diagnose the mycotoxicosis? There is a question from Dr. Sweta.
Okay, okay. Dr. Sweta, there are no such very specific marker tests, etc., because they are going to cause the different type of the organ toxicities. Maybe some of the mycotoxins, they are going to cause hepatotoxicity, and if you go to the books and other things, you can see that the fungus or the mycotoxins causing toxicity to kidneys and the organ directed toxicity. So the thing is very difficult. It's especially the biochemical test. It cannot be used as the diagnostic tool, but it can be just used for the organ directed toxicity, whether there is a hepatotoxicity or there is a nephrotoxicity or some other toxicities. So as such, there are no very good biochemical markers to diagnose the mycotoxicosis. That's one thing. Okay, the kindly suggest the preventive measures and guidelines which can prevent mycotoxicosis animal. Dr. Karuna Didi has asked. Yes, this is one of the most relevant questions, because we cannot prevent the mycotoxicosis or the treatment is very difficult. Of course, the simple withdrawing up of the feed, fungal infected feed, cause most of the animal to recover if we have seen the clinical signs in the very, very earlier stages. But many times the doctors also ask the question, yes, can we use this particularly the chelators like the this diatomaceous earth or activated charcoal? Usually it is not so recommended because many times it's a very chronic toxicity. Acute toxicities are rare, but the acute toxicity, if it is occurring like what we have seen in the maize hulls, etc., then you can use the especially the toxin binders like the activated charcoal, diatomaceous earth, and many more are there. So when the toxin is present in either in the rumen or in the intestine, you can use this particularly the toxin binders. But many of the time we will see the clinical signs at that time the mycotoxin has been absorbed and it has damaged the organ. So this time the treatment is not useful, or the especially administration of the toxin binders is not useful because the ruminants they will ingest lot of grass and it is very difficult to do that thing. So that's something. And how we can differentiate the Downer's curve from hypocalcemia and Downer's curve from the mycotoxicosis. So it is of course particularly the diagnosis goes on the clinical signs, then circumstantial evidences, whether the animals are fed with the fungal infected groundnut or any type of the hay, maybe a groundnut hay or maybe the maize or sorghum or the paddy straw or groundnut. So many types of them are there. The thing is, many times most of the hay are infected with multifungi. So there is a chance that the fungi like this trichothisin, etc., they compete for the calcium and may cause hypocalcemia. So the hypocalcemia and the mycotoxin induced this Downer's curve syndrome goes side by side many of the time, but we need to see the fodder quality. Most of the time when you go to the cattle shed, please see the water especially the fodder quality, whether it's infected with the fungus or not, whether it's fresh or not, then you can easily find it's a hypocalcemia or the mycotoxins. So the fungal mastitis treatment, so this is totally a different type of the question Dr. Vikas has seen. The fungal mastitis, of course, it's a rare phenomenon. Usually the fungus are the secondary invaders, especially they are present in the milk, and they are going to cause usually the 2 to 3% incidence it is told, 90% is a bacterial infection. So the fungal mastitis is a systemic infection, especially sometimes here I am not going to mention anything about the mycological disorders, especially in case of the cattle. So the fungus are also infecting the skin and causing varieties of the dermatological disorders. In one of the webinar I myself have explained what are all the fungal infected diseases. So fungal mastitis is a rare phenomenon, and I think we should not worry much about the fungal mastitis is concerned. Whereas any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
There are some questions, but as soon as I shared the presentation, there were some questions.
And
I'll take it
Adil
directly from
Arvindan,
the
he has
chat
asked, would the oil
Yes.
cakes in the compound feed cause aflatoxinosis? Sure, any material which is which will have the fungal infection will have cause surely the mycotoxicosis, but the total type of means how much the fungus are being infected, the quantity of the mycotoxin that's present, etc., it will vary. And as usual, because there is always for everything the acceptable daily intake is there, especially for most of the toxins. Similarly, the cattle will have also got this acceptable daily intake, and they can neutralize many of the mycotoxins, including the especially the aflatoxins. And usually they are not well susceptible, but always they are susceptible for the chronic intoxication, and sometimes they are also susceptible for acute intoxication. We have seen that the brewer's waste, many times the farmers are going to feed, especially this is a very common thing in case of the sheep and goat, and also in case of the cattle. It is one of the most important thing to notice that the such type of the food which is containing very high quantity of the moisture, maybe more than 70%, and very optimum temperature to grow the fungi, they will contain very high quantity of the different mycotoxins, and one need to be very careful so that they should not be infected with the fungi. That's one of the thing. And yes, oil cake definitely they will get lot of this thing. Yes, were all animals susceptible to fracture of the animals who contaminated the feed, or did some of the resistant? I think why only the humerus? Yes, this is an interesting question. Why only the humerus? Yes, I had asked these questions because the most of the cattle there. Later we have not come across any such incidences. So most of the cattle in where there was say outbreak of the fracture. Of course, the surgery people in this group may will not accept my this statement, because there is no episode. What we can call as the episode of the fracture. So there, why the humerus bone is the humerus bone is the highest weight bearing bone when the animal is tied to a cart, pulled the bullock, and also to pull the especially the yoke, and the first bone affected is the humerus, especially in the large cattle. That's why there is a, of course the other bones might have also been porous, but they are not subjected to such tremendous force, and immediately when they are plowed, the fracture was seen. And yes, that's why the fracture incidence was very high in case of the humerus, because it is a highest weight bearing bone, and when it becomes the porous, usually such bones are being affected. Yes, I think I have answered most of the questions. So sometimes there is a fungal infected, not the called as the dermatological disorders, also called as by the mycotoxicosis. It is totally different from that of the fungal mycotoxicosis and fungal infected dermatitis and mycotoxicosis induced dermatitis, totally different. So one need to treat them very properly. Most of the time the mixture with sulfur containing what you call as the ingredient, like the copper sulfate 30 grams, and especially the zinc oxide, sulfur sublimate, and especially the mineral mixtures, they need to be fed to the cattle in a proper dose for prolonged period. And sometimes the sulfur and zinc containing paste with that of the neem oil will also work. About 250 gram in 1 liter of the, especially the neem oil, will make a very good remedy to most of the disorders. That's what I think.
Okay, sir.
Epistaxis. There is one question. Can we correlate the epistaxis?
Yes, sir.
Surely, many times the epistaxis is also due to the mycotoxicosis, because we have seen that such hemorrhagic disorders are very common in case of the fungal infected groundnut hay. It depends upon which type of the fungus has grown and what type of the mycotoxin might have been secreted. Many times it is multi mycotoxin originated, so they will have the synergistic or additive effect, and we have seen that the epistaxis is there. So whenever such a thing is there, don't simply treat the animal with that of the hemostatics. Try to change the feed, and many times if you simply change the feed from the stale feed or mycotoxicosis or fungal infected feed, you will get the tremendous recovery. That's one of the things. Or else finding the mycotoxin is one of the most costliest hobby, the diagnostic features, etc. So yes, all this.
Yes, sir. Sir, the last question is, can we go for immunostimulant rather than or along with the symptomatic treatment and withdrawal of the contaminated feed?
As such, in pharmacology, there are no good immunostimulant agents. Like there are only few like levamisole and other things. They are said to immunate either the immunostimulants. So that's not the correct approach for the treatment of this, especially mycotoxicosis. Rather than what we can do is simple withdrawal of the contaminated feed is more economical in case of large animals. So if you stimulate the immune system for a temporary purpose also, then for the as the time prolongs, once again it will reoccur. So that's a problem. If you because the immunostimulate agents, we cannot administer them for the prolonged period as they cause the toxicities, just like the levamisole or any other immunostimulant, maybe the herbal immunostimulants maybe you are referring to. Best is withdrawal of the contaminated feed. Tell the owner not to feed the regular feed. If you suspect any of the disease, whatever it may be, if you just cross examine that particularly fodder, then say him, yes, please withdraw this particular feed and put it a new type of the feed. And of course then feeding the green grass in such case will give lot of what you call as the very fast recovery, and administration of the what you call as the B complex vitamins and the mineral mixtures will give a very good result. And suppose if there is a Turner's curve syndrome, we can treat accordingly with the potassium acetate, and we have seen that the potassium, then calcium and phosphorus, there is a drastic reduction in case of the mycotoxicosis is there. So you can supplement them after the withdrawal of the feed. Suppose you cannot withdraw the feed, then you can use the same feed and make the owner to spread it in the ground for about 2 to 3 days when there is a bright sunlight is there. Then once again he can feed. The incidences of the toxicity will reduce drastically. That's what we have suggested to the farmers.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you for your most practical approach session. Definitely, this session has give the practical knowledge to the field veterinarian that how to diagnose and how to overcome this mycotoxicosis, particularly in bovines, which, as you said rightly, that sir, it is the most neglected toxins which has been there and which has been much more concentrated in the poultry sector, which has been neglected in the bovine sector. Thank you, sir, for highlighting that and sharing your knowledge with the field veterinarians. Thank you.
Yes, last word I want to say that in India, most of the times we have encountered a lot of this mycotoxicosis, whereas in the Western countries the papers are very less, because they always feed a very good quality hay, and especially they are going to feed the green grass. So I think there are the very less reports are there, especially from the Australia. We can get some of the papers which are referring to the cattle mycotoxicosis, or else we have got lot of incidences in India because the situation is like that, the humidity etc. are both there. So I request the veterinarians to especially change the feed or the fodder and try to suspect the mycotoxicosis as one of the cause for any of the disease what you diagnose. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Over to Dr. Santosh.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Naresh. Now we are at the flag end of the session. A warm and graceful evening to Honorable Sridhar, sir. It is my privilege to propose vote of thanks speech and acknowledge the contribution of those who really work very hard to make this webinar successful. On the behalf of all the participants, Alembic Pharmaceutical Limited, myself, Dr. Santosh Shinde, express my sincere gratitude to Honorable Sridhar, sir, for such an informative and applied presentation. Sir, your presentation will help all the participating or practicing veterinarian, field veterinarian, student, as well as faculty and researcher in day-to-day practice, sir. In future also, sir, we will take benefit of such interesting and useful session that will upgrade our knowledge and we can serve the society. And last but not least, I wanted to thank you all the participating veterinarian which is participated this webinar from India and abroad. And my special thanks to all the Alembic field staff to make this webinar successful. Also, I like to thank Mr. P. Karunanidhi. He is the Senior Vice President, Alembic Pharmaceutical Limited, who is actually encouraging and motivational force behind us to conduct such type of webinar. Also, I wanted to thank R.K. Sharma, DGM Sales, and entire Alembic field team and all the participating veterinarians for making this webinar successful. Once again, I will thank Honorable Sridhar, sir, and all the participating veterinarians. With the permission of my speaker, we will conclude this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, I also thank these Alembic Pharmaceuticals because Dr. Shinde and Dr. Naresh and maybe the senior officials of the Alembic are doing wonderful job, because in this COVID situation you are organizing so many such webinar series, especially on the large animal is concerned. So on behalf of the Karnataka Veterinary Animal and Fisheries Sciences University, Veterinary College Shimoga, and on behalf of the veterinarians of the Karnataka state, I thank you very much. Thank you very much. And please organizing, I will be happy to join repeatedly, because the many other topics of the toxicities may be there, or sometimes there is a plant toxicities, especially the regional based. So I will be very happy to share with the veterinarians of the India is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.